Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Trooper Joshua Buckley. We warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Harold Redlich, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge members from the Australian Bravery Association joining us this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. Please stand and join in the singing of the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Harold Redlich. Known as Red, Harold Redlich was born on the 2nd of September 1916 in Esk, Queensland, the son of Frederick and Maud Redlich, Latvian-born immigrants from Siberia who had just arrived in Australia a few years before. Young Harold attended Greenslope State School in Brisbane before going on to work as a gold miner. Harold's brothers, Andrew and James, enlisted with the RAAF and would serve during the war. However, Harold enlisted in Kelvin Grove in Brisbane on the 5th of June 1940 and became a founding member of the 2nd 15th Battalion, which was based at Red Bank. There, he undertook initial training with the week of pre-embarkation leave in October. Then, after a church service on Christmas morning 1940, Harold Redlich and his battalion marched to Red Bank Railway Station and took a train to Sydney. In Sydney, they boarded the Queen Mary, bound for the Middle East. Arriving in Egypt by way of the Suez Canal, they travelled to Palestine and camped just north of Gaza, where further training followed. In February 1941, the battalion was transported to Egypt and then Libya using a captured Italian army transport. At this point in the war, the Italian army had been pushed from the Egyptian border well in Libya, leaving the Germans to commit troops led by Erwin Rommel, whose armoured reconnaissance soon became a full-fledged offensive. Allied troops were pushed back and leading general officers were captured. Remnants of the 2nd 15th Battalion reached the fortress port of Tobruk on the 8th of April, where defensive positions remaining from the Italian occupation were being prepared to face the Germans. After less than a fortnight in Tobruk, Redlich was promoted to Lance Corporal. At the beginning of May, a large-scale fighting patrol was formed in order to destroy enemy transport. Selected members were chosen. They learned how to drive German trucks and were given training in handling mines and grenades. After patrol on 15th of May 1941, there were 12 men missing. 2 came in late, reporting that they have helped in clearing out machine gun posts and a tank which was seen to be burning. Other members of the section reported in later. Eventually, only 1 man was reported missing, Harold Redlich. His body was never found, and today his name appears on the Al Alamein War Memorial in Egypt. He was 24 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His portrait is displayed today beside the Pool of Remembrance. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Harold Redlich, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, but we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or at the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.